Owning Our Own Shadow by Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson at first presents to us a definition of light and shadow as human beings. The light is your usually behavior accepted by the society. It means when you arrive to your job, commonly you see someone you're used to see around. You will say, "Good morning," and probably you will smile too. What's definitely you want to do is looking bad to that person and say, "I hope you have the worst day of your life." It's not a behavior accepted by the society, and depends of the case, you will have consequences. Perhaps you could say something like that to someone, but you know you shouldn't do it. Or you think that you would never do something like that to anyone. However, here's the deal. Unconsciously, perhaps consciously, the human is be able to be extremely destructive. But why in some situations we cannot control our shadow and we act provoking damage to anyone around us? Well, what is the shadow at first? Okay, Robert Johnson describes it like all of the qualities and behaviors we are not able to show to the world. Besides, not all of the qualities or behaviors in the shadow are bad. Simply by the circumstances of each individual life, there are things about us we prefer to keep hid. For example, there is a man who is super tough and usually he's not a nice person. This is his lie. Why? Because it's the face he shows to the world. So what is his shadow? That maybe he's sensible and a good person. This means that in the light could be bad things and in the shadow could be good ones. The light is what you show and the shadow is what you don't, independently if those things are good or bad. Usually in the light we show the good things about us though. Robert Johnson, in his book Owning Your Own Shadow, explains the importance of understanding and honoring your dark side as much as you honor your light side. He puts an examples of balances between the shadow and the light as they are the tree of life and death. Here is the tree of knowledge with its golden fruit. Adam is looking a little disoriented or confused. Beside the tree there are two women. In the left side is Virgin Mary picking fruit, handing it out to a long line of penny ants for their salvation. And the other side is Eve picking fruit from the same tree, handing it out for a long line of people for their damnation. The tree is a representation of the creativity and destruction. Always exists the dark side in the light one. Robert Johnson says, our resistance to this insight is very high. We would love to have creativity without destruction, but that is not possible. And the second example is Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. India balances Brahma, the god of creation, with Shiva, the god of destruction, and Vishnu sits in the middle, keeping the opposites together. Robert Johnson says, no one can escape from the dark side of life, but we can pay out the dark side intelligently. Now you're wondering, okay, I'm understanding how it works, but tell me why is it important and how can I control it? Well, it's important for this. When you don't know how to pay out your shadow, you've been accumulating it. Therefore, when you are in a little stressful situation, you can't handle it. And then you exploit and become crazy against anyone near you. We need to understand that the shadow, in the majority of the cases, is the monster that everyone has inside. Unless your shadow is your light, it means your shadow. You show your monster openly to the society all time. I don't think it is possible though, unless you're watching this video from prison. Robert Johnson tells in a temple his experience with the shadow like this. I thought I had earned something nice by my virtue, so went to the nursery to buy something beautiful for my garden. Before I knew what was happening, I picked a fight with the nurseryman and made a miserable spectacle of myself. Since I didn't pick up my shadow consciously, I landed it on this poor stranger. Balance was served but in a clumsy and a stupid way. Now, how can you control the shadow? How can you do it? First, you have to accept that you have a shadow part like everyone does. Robert Johnson says, medieval heroes have to slay their dragons. Modern heroes have to take their dragon back home to integrate into their own personality. What you should do is like a type of ceremony that satisfies it but doesn't do damage to anything. For example, you can draw it, you could sculpt it, you could write a vivid story about it, you could dance it, you could punch something, burn something, or bury it, or simply you can yell in your pillow. Do anything that gives expression to this shadow part material without doing damage. Like that, you're releasing all of the shadow you've been accumulating by stressful situations. Remember that the point of this is throwing out all of its energy in an intelligent way to avoid hurt people around you and to make you feel better. If you don't do it anyway, you will release your shadow, but maybe in a more harmful way for everyone and for you. Just because you haven't realized your shadow at all, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. The polarity in the world is always present. Accept your shadow, don't avoid it, and even less, don't hate it, because in the end, it's you. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe if you really enjoyed the videos in this channel, or you think they are useful or at least interesting or something. Don't forget, give a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and nothing more to say. See you on the next one. Bye.